Well, Mark, we're inside today because it's horrendous weather outside. You've been over at Bearwood training. Got a bit wet today?
Yeah, it's one of the drawbacks of the job, I think. It's nice working outside, but days like today, there's a bit of a squall over there. So, but we got good work done. Yeah, it's part and parcel of the job, and the lads got to get on with it. I don't think it's any worse than it was last Saturday against Sheffield Wednesday. So we're used to it a bit.
That's the thing. It's been horrendous weather these last few games, and these games they're quite good fun, aren't they? When you go out in the weather and just battle the elements as well as the teams.
Well, when you travel away from home to a difficult place and the conditions are like they are, going back to last Saturday, it's important you have a mindset that you've come all this way. Supporters, fans have travelled all that way, so let's make sure we get down to business and we're professional in what we do. And as I said after the game on Saturday, what I was really pleased about with the weekend was, it was a day for making the right decisions on the ball, and being intelligent with our play, which we did. Even I know people have said after the game, they go down to 10 men, you then expect it to win. But I felt the way the game was progressing anyway, that I was, in my own mind, I was fairly comfortable. Even if they hadn't had a man sent off, that the way we'd approached the game, it was going well for us.
And since that, we've had a little bit of time, a full week to sort of reflect on it, if you like. I guess you've had to balance the kind of getting a bit of rest into some of the players too, because it's been such a heavy schedule, and actually getting back out there on the training ground. And I guess everyone's different as well. Every player's different.
Yeah, and it was. I'd been sort of complaining you don't get in this league, you don't get a lot of time to work with players. On the training ground. But we were very much aware that coming up to Saturday's game at Leeds now, and then we got a midweek game after that, and then the following Saturday after that at Barnsley, and then the FA Cup upon us, and so it's relentless. So we had to I had to balance it up with giving the guys that they've had 2 or 3 days off, not all of them, but some of them, and making sure that they keep saying that it's not just the physical side, it's mentally that they rest as well, because we are, I'm a coach and my manager and my staff, that we do bombard them with a lot of information, and hopefully and expectantly they take it on board. It's not always the case, but in doing so, there's got to be times when you have downtime and you can switch off and go away. But as I said, we're back in now, and we were in sort of yesterday as well, and making sure we're focused and really professional going into Saturday's game.
And Saturday's game up another long journey up to Yorkshire to play Leeds, one of the teams that are going for those 2 automatic spots. So it's probably about as tough as these games come on paper, isn't it?
It is, and I think in terms of their form, there's been questions asked about their form over maybe the last sort of 6, 8, 10 games. But for me, as quoted as saying, I think West Brom are possibly, for me, the best team in this league. But I think, if you can understand this wrong, say that I think the hardest team to play against probably is Leeds. The intensity that they play at, and the questions they ask at you all the time is never ending. And we found that at our cost at the home game against them, where I thought we played well on the day, and our physical stats were through the roof in trying to cope with them, but eventually got caught out. And it's I don't see it being dissimilar Saturday. That their home crowd, their demand that they play it, and they're pushing forward, and that can cause them problems. We're trying to exploit that as well, but it's going to be a tough battle and a tough game from start to finish.
And it's one of these games, as you touched on in the past, that you have to look at the opposition first to an extent, and because there's such a distinct style and one of the things they do, you have to match those almost before you look at yourself to an extent.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. Yeah, we always look at see what we can do to hurt the opposition, but I've used it in the past in terms of it's almost one of those games that becomes where you've got to give yourselves periods to get through in the game. It's away from home anyway, in any away game you're always looking to start well, but certainly going to Leeds, you almost got to count the first 20 minutes, and then you get through to half time, and you put pressure on them when you can, but you're almost ticking off periods of the game and seeing where you are at any given time in the game. So that won't change. It's not just for Leeds Saturday. We do that in most away games, but probably more prevalent away at Leeds.
And your team have shown that when they execute a game plan well, they can match any team as well.
Yeah, I've said it right from the start. Possibly. I'm very careful not to sort of criticise it as much as, because since I've took over, the players have took everything on board and done remarkably well. But it's trying to get that more of that consistency. Let's say it was a blessing to us all to come out of Saturday's game with a win, because we'd all felt it'd been too long since a win, but we had good performances. And then if you put the good performances in, then you get rewards, which is what we had Saturday. But we'll strive to get more consistency in our play, because that's what, whether it's this year or next year, season, whatever, that's the situation that takes you into playoffs, and beyond that even, is getting that sort of level of consistency in your game that you can pick up points and pick up wins more often.
And lastly, Mark, team news, and hopefully no fresh injury concerns. Team getting through this week well?
No, we've had a slight issue with Masika. He's got a stomach upset, and we haven't seen him the last 2 days, so we'll certainly have to check how he rolls in tomorrow. Pella's come through and had a couple of decent training sessions, and Jordan will beat it as well. So it's good news as far as I'm concerned, in terms of more, bit of a problem, yes, but a nice problem to have, more bodies to choose from. So yes, we're going into the weekend with people coming back from injury. Well, the short-term ones, we've still got those 4 or 5. Chris Gunter's still going to be a while, and obviously Lucas Joao, and the 1 or 2 others that I haven't mentioned, and only because I tend to make no excuse for Rich when they're going to be like 3-4 weeks down the line. I almost put them out of my head, so to speak. You know what I mean? So we have got 3 or 4 or 5 lads who are going to be another significant period of time before they're back. But as I said, the ones that are coming back this week will be welcome back and give me selection problems.